Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to cover .NET Aspire. Uh, so we've basically discussed SQL topics in the past, and this channel is more about programming as well. So we're going to dive into the .NET Aspire topic, which is going to be a very interesting, and I urge any developers to basically look at this video and learn what is .NET Aspire, and if you already know about .NET Aspire, so you may pick up some things as well from this video. Hi everyone. So just before we jump into the video, I thought I'll just quickly use a few seconds here. So one of the things with these channels is it's not a channel that's in monetization status at the moment, but it's quite heartbreaking sometimes to just see the number of people who do watch and are hopefully benefiting from the video, but not subscribing. So as you can see in here, there's this is one of the videos which has like 45,000 views, and if you look at the number of people who have actually subscribed to the channel, it's 288 compared to 44,682 people who haven't subscribed. So that's about 99.4% of the viewers actually not subscribing, and that's quite heartbreaking. So if you do find the video helpful, and if it's adding to your knowledge or helping you with your daily work in terms of your programming skills, etc., then please subscribe to the channel. I can totally understand if it's not being helpful, but if it is helpful, then please subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and back to the video now. You're going to also experience a few more interesting topics in the coming few weeks. I want to look at like AWS and other areas as well, and share those videos as well. Yeah, in today's video, let's focus on the .NET Aspire. Now, if you look at the original article from Microsoft, .NET Aspire is basically an opinionated cloud-ready stack for building observable, production-ready distributed applications. It's delivered through a collection of NuGet packages that handle specific cloud-native concerns. Now, in simple terms, .NET Aspire is basically simplifying stuff for us, really. So if you want to build a distributed application, and if you have multiple components and also cloud-native components or services that you want to use, the .NET Aspire is basically simplifying how do you set up and use those distributed applications and cloud-native applications, or cloud-native components to say. So it does provide orchestration as one of the features. So it basically provides features for running and connecting multi-project applications and their dependencies for local development environments. It provides components, .NET Aspire components and NuGet packages. So I think we'll go in and dive into this a bit more shortly in the coming video. And then you have the tool, standard tooling that's provided by Microsoft as part of the templates within the .NET Aspire. So you can use Visual Studio Code. So in today's video, we're going to use Visual Studio, but if anyone wants me to look at or demo Visual Studio Code, I can basically use that as well. So in simple terms then, .NET Aspire orchestration assists with the following concerns. One is app composition. So if you have multiple .NET projects and if you want to combine them, it basically simplifies those things. So if you specify the .NET projects, containers, executables, and cloud resources that make up the application, everything can be sort of put into one sort of hosted application, so where you can sort of monitor and specify all those dependencies in one place. The other thing is it also helps in service discovery and connection string management. So the app host manages injecting the right connection strings or network configurations and service discovery information to simplify developer experience. So as I said earlier, it's all about simplifying how you set up these things. So in a normal world, you specify all the low-level details manually by writing those lines of code, but this .NET Aspire obviously is aiming to simplify that Now, one example that they give you here is basically how you set up Redis, which is sort of we'll also go into the example shortly. So, as I highlighted here, this is how you set up Redis, and we will look at the implementation of it in detail. But essentially, that's basically how you set up Redis. That's it, and any of the low-level details like setting up the container, etc., is all handled by Aspire. So now .NET Aspire components, as said earlier, they are NuGet packages designed to simplify connections to popular services such as Redis or PostgreSQL. Now, they handle many cloud-native concerns for you through standardized configuration patterns, such as adding health checks and telemetry as well. So essentially, there's two aspects to this. One is the actual components itself. So now, if you look at the components that are available, these are the sort of current components that are available for you to use at the moment, and essentially all these are NuGet packages. So if I pick up a few key ones, so you have PostgreSQL there, you have Redis distributed caching, you also have CQs, and this is something I've used in the past. You also have SQL Server, so and obviously a whole suite of Azure services as well, which obviously Microsoft will promote because it's Microsoft's cloud platform. And also what we'll also go into the tooling as well shortly, but essentially when you build up a .NET Aspire project, it comes with some service defaults as well, and these service defaults would basically allow you to configure some of the telemetry aspects as well, like health checks and logging and telemetry, etc. So yeah, so basically with project templates. So before I dive into it, I think it might be better to just go into an example of how you build the apps itself, so you can actually see what the tooling actually gives you. Okay, so when you I'm assuming you have Visual Studio at this stage. So this is Visual Studio 2022, which is the latest version of Community Edition I'm using here. Now, if you want to install or create a new project, basically, so I'm basically searching for Aspire, and you have something called .NET Aspire Starter application, or you can also use the .NET Aspire application. You can also create these app host and service default projects by manually if you want, and I think if you already have an existing project, it might be beneficial to basically have those installed or have those set up into your existing solution. But I think if we can do a separate video for how you embed the .NET Aspire into an existing project. But in this video, because it's an introduction, let's actually dive into just creating a new .NET Aspire starter application, so we can see some of the details of how it's set up, and also how it uses the components. So I'm going to give a starter app 1 because I've already created one before. And one of the things that Microsoft suggests is basically you take this. So essentially this basically enables the Redis example that we saw earlier on the article. And one of the prerequisites for this is you need a Docker or Podman runtime installed. So basically I have Docker installed already, and I've obviously ticked that now, so I can create the project now. Okay, let's give a second for that project to be created. Excellent. So yeah, so everything is completed, and so the projects are created, and we have if you look at the apps here, so we have the app host, we have the service defaults, and we have a web app and an API service. Now if I run that, you'll be able to see, so I'm basically having the app host as the startup application. So let's run that and see. So you can see it's starting up the application, and yeah, it has started it. Now Yeah, as you can see, this is the sort of startup page for the Aspire app. So it basically lists the different resources that are there now as part of this installation. So we have a web front end, we have an API service, and we also have the cache. So this is, you can look at the type here to say what type of resource it is. So in this case, this is a container, and this is a project, and this is a project. Now, if you want to see the actual image as well, essentially, you can basically go into the Docker, and here you go. So we can see that the images for the Redis is there, and it's obviously saying it's in use now because the service is currently using, and previously we had to add Docker support, etc., for these to be installed, and we had to install those separately, and there was a lot of setup involved in doing the the Redis, for example, component installed as a Docker container. Now we don't have to do everything, so anything is it's all done by for us by .NET Aspire. So there's a few things we can actually go into here. So so if I look at the console, and if I look at FREP front end, so basically these are the logs generated by each of these services, and you can basically look at these logs from here. So now this is one more aspect of this. So it does provide you with quite a good way to monitor the logs, so you don't have to have like a separate application in here to monitoring it. Structured is basically it's just a structured view of the logs. Again, you can filter down to the specific service you want to host, you want to monitor, and you can also apply filters. There's quite a lot of fields that you can actually use to apply filters on. So yeah. And then if you go on to the traces, so there's nothing here because I haven't actually used the application. Now let's go on to the application itself and open up the front end. Now here it's a simple app you would have seen before if you used for example a Razor app or a Blazor app. So this is basically randomly generated temperature information, weather information from the API that's coming on and displaying onto the onto this website. Now now if you look at the traces, you can see that it's now populated. Where it gets exciting is you'd be able to trace each of those calls to the exact location in here. So so you can see where and how the data is actually flowing, and you can also get onto the details of each of that. Basically, the metrics basically gives you the information about various instruments and meters that are exposed and their corresponding dimensions for your app. So basically, these are what you configure in the backend using the service defaults, and there's additional information you can configure in there, or if you don't want some information to be captured as part of this, you can basically disable that as well. So essentially these are also sort of captured for both the services that are there as part of the this application, and you can also filter them using the filters, the date filter or time filter you have on the right side here. So so I've just started the app, and I'm basically going to load up the manage NuGet packages. And if you look at the installed ones, so this is the bed that's installed for the Redis. So we have aspire.hosting.redis, and if I look for aspire.hosting, you should be able to see the other ones that are available in terms of NuGet components. So for example, that's your SQL Server, that's your RabbitMQ, that's your PostgreSQL, and there's quite a few others that are available here. So it's quite powerful, how easy has it become to configure these now, especially if you have a distributed application and you're going to run it on a cloud native service as well. One other thing you notice here is we're adding some program. So if I go into the web app for example, service default. So this is again it comes as part of the standard tooling with the Aspire starter app. So we've looked at app host. There's also the service defaults app project. Now this actually has quite a lot of default settings that you can basically configure. So you can use it as it is, but you can also configure them separately as well if you want to modify them. So for example, if you want to configure, you want to change the default open telemetry that's coming, so you can basically add or remove the tracing information, the metrics information, etc. in here. You can also change the default health checks. So there's it comes with the default health checks of the apps, but if you want to change and add more information into, or add custom implementation into this as well, like you can add those. So yeah, so this is quite powerful. Again, it's all coming out of the box with the .NET Aspire starter apps or starter tooling. Therefore, you don't have to do this, from scratch. But and it also allows you to extend these as well, which is quite cool. So it's the same thing with the API service as well. So you can basically add those service defaults there. Yeah, so that's the .NET Aspire. So obviously here we've created a completely new application. So I've used the starter app basically that it's created the web and the API service, and it's completely new. But most of the cases it's not. You wouldn't be creating a new web or API just for the app host. Obviously you want to embed that into existing one. So I'm going to do another video just on how you embed the .NET Aspire into an existing application. So yeah, so I hope this video has been useful, and I will share some links to the articles that I've been showing in the description of this video. So I hope you'll be able to gather more information from those articles as well. And if you have any questions or any doubts, please feel free to comment below. And as always, please subscribe and also add a comment if you found this video helpful, and if you want any other videos to be published in the future. Yeah, if you have a content suggestion as well in terms of any other topics that you want me to cover, please also feel free to add those comments. So thanks for watching today, and I hope you have a wonderful day or evening depending on where you are. Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.